Write an equation of the line through each pair of points in slope-intercept form. Remember, the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So given 2 points, we know that we can find the slope by using the slope formula. So that would be our first step. So remember, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, because we have these y1s and x1s, that has to be your indication that we need to label our points. So we're going to label our points. I'm going to pick 0, 3 to be my first point. So I'm going to say this is x1, y1. And then this next point I'm going to say is my second point. So this is going to be my y2, x2, and y2. Knowing that information, I can go ahead and plug in what I labeled just now into the formula. And once we simplify this all the way, we would get -4 over -2, or this even simplified further would give us the number 2, and so 2 is the slope. But we have to find not just the slope, but we also have to find the y-intercept. So our second step is to find the y-intercept. To do this, we're going to plug in the slope into the equation, the slope-intercept form. And so instead of writing the letter m here, we're going to go ahead and write the number 2. Remember, x and y in these equations represent all numbers on the line. And so we leave those alone. But we have to find the letter b. We need to find the y-intercept for this equation. So because we know that x and y represent all kinds of points on the line, we can pinpoint one of those points and replace x and y with that specific point. So basically we can change the x and the y here to be any of the points that was given. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this first point instead to replace x and y here. So now that will give us only one variable, which is the b, which is what we want to solve for. So because I'm choosing to use the first point, you can use the second one. It doesn't really matter here, because remember, x and y represent all points. So you can pick whichever one you want to use. I just chose the first one because it seems like it possibly may be easier. So my y value would be 3, and my x value would be 0. Simplifying this further, we get 3 equals b. And so here we have the y-intercept. So we have both of the things we need to complete our equation. So our final answer is going to be y equals 2, because that's the slope, x plus 3 is the y-intercept. So we leave the x and y intact, because once again, that represents all points on a line. Let's do another example. And we're going to follow the same steps. So we want to write the equation in point slope form, which is y equals mx plus b. We have 2 things we need to find. We need to find the slope, and we need to find the y-intercept. First, let's find the slope. To find the slope, we need to know the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Because that's the formula, it indicates that we must label our points before we can plug it into the formula. I'm going to pick my first point to be this -7, 4. So that's x1, y1, and this one to be my x2, y2. After I do that, I can just simply plug in the information in the formula. Simplifying this further will give us a -8 over 16, or basically a -1 over 2. And so this is your slope. We got to find our second thing, which is our y-intercept. To do this, we're going to use one of the 2 points given, substitute it for y and x in the formula, and solve for b. I'm going to choose my first point here to replace the x and y in the formula to solve for b. After simplifying this, you'll find that the y-intercept is 1/2. To check your answer, you can put this into Desmos. You can find a solve for x calculator to just verify your answer here for the y-intercept. Once we know what the y-intercept is and the slope, we can go ahead and write our final answer, which will be y equals -1/2 x plus 1/2. And that's our final answer.